What's up, everybody? Peter McKinnon here, and today's a special day, and let me tell you why. I'm trying to get my dexterity back because my hand is still... Thank you for the concern, by the way, those of you who've been asking, what happened? I fell off my one wheel, as some of you know, but I've been playing with the cars to try and get some of my dexterity back. So it's working, things are looking up. So today we will be diving into the world of steel wool photography. Now, I have seen this all over the internet. I've seen it on Instagram. Actually, it's pretty popular on Instagram because it looks insane. I've self-admitted never done it before. When Chris took me out for the first time to do some steel wool photography, I'd never done it. I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea how it worked. I've just seen these photos around on Instagram. I've double tapped them myself, but I really had no idea how it was physically done. So I finally got the opportunity to do it. Chris took me out. It was a great time. He thought this would be something you guys would really enjoy doing, and I wholeheartedly agreed. So I'm really excited for Chris to jump into the pilot seat today and lead you guys on this steel wool photography journey. If you guys don't remember Chris, he's the one that took me wake surfing. Super cool guy, incredible creative force. If you're not following him on YouTube, he also does tutorials and cool stuff like that. He's just relaunched his channel, so links are below if you want to check him out. Recommended. And if you're not following him on Instagram already, come on, give him some love, he's an incredible photographer. But before we get into that, a quick shout out to our sponsor for today's episode, which are the fine folks over at Squarespace. If you need a website, boom, these are the guys to go to. I actually just recently changed my website. I had like 17 pages and it was just this big long thing. And I just made it one page, which I love. And the fact that you can just flip it around so easily at any time is awesome. So they've got tons of award-winning designer templates to choose from, award-winning 24/7 customer service, so if you happen to break the internet while you're making a website, they've got your back. There's nothing to install or update at any time. It's super easy to use, and if you want to try it out yourself, head over to squarespace.com/McKinnon, enter code McKinnon at checkout, and save yourself 10% off your first purchase. I highly recommend it. If you want to know more about that, I did a video up here that you can also check out. Links in description. You're welcome. All right, enough talking for me. I'm gonna hand things over. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Chris Howe.
What's up, guys? My name is Chris Howe, photographer, cinematographer, business owner. I run a creative agency, and I also have hair like Fabio, and I cleaned it today just for this video. So I've been shooting since I was about 8 years old, but professionally probably for like the last 8 years. When Pete used to shoot weddings, and it was actually my first wedding, and I had this crazy homemade video rig that I made from like dollar store items. I don't want to talk about it. That was a weird time in my life, but let's get back to what we're talking about today. We are talking about steel wool photography. This is one of the coolest trends that you see on Instagram right now. It kind of looks like people are just like spinning fire, that they have like a dragon in their hand or something like that. But essentially what it is that you use the material steel wool, you put it in this device that we're gonna show you how to make, you light it on fire and you spin it so that all the embers just kind of fly everywhere. And when you combine that with a long exposure on your camera, you get some pretty dope results, kind of like this, or this. So before we get into this, I have to say this because it's extremely important. Safety comes first. You guys are playing with fire at the end of the day. My first experience with this is I actually wasn't as safe as I should have been. I almost lit a field on fire because I was so pumped. We don't want this to happen to you. I don't want to read about you in the news about being like all these fields around the world are setting on fire because Chris Howe taught them how to use steel wool photography. That's not happening today. Be responsible. Remember, at the end of the day, you're supposed to have fun, not get burned. Just a reminder, if you guys are underage, just make sure you have an adult with you. And if you're overage, just bring a friend along. This is one of those scenarios where it's best to do it with a friend or have somebody who can be there with you to just keep an eye on stuff. So quick reminder, be safe, and we're moving on. So step one, we're gonna delve into the materials that you need to actually do this. So the basic things that you're gonna want at the end of the day is a stainless steel whisk. Now I used a whisk, all the things are falling out of this. I used a whisk that had plastic on it, and as you can see, it just melted it all over the place. So highly recommend for your first material, a stainless steel whisk. Number two, you're gonna need some sort of string or in this case, we used a Canon lanyard. Or you could also use like a bathtub chain, whatever is gonna be the safest option for you at the end of the day. Preferably use a material that's not gonna catch fire. Okay, the second and actually the most important part of this is the steel wool. Now I would recommend that you use a thin grade steel wool. You can find this at most local hardware stores. It's actually used to clean like stainless steel or metal objects, or in this image here, it looks like a baby's crib, but it's probably not a baby's crib. But I would recommend that you use a thin material because it actually burns a lot quicker and brighter. So this is the steel wool. When you take it out of the bag, you're gonna try to grab a little strip of it that you can use. You have to be really strong like Arnold. This is not enough, but you're gonna grab a little bit more that you can use on this. I'm making a mess of Pete's desk right now. So if you want some steel wool, go to Pete's desk. This is our device that we've made. So you're gonna attach the string to the stainless steel whisk, and to apply it, you just open up a section, shove the steel wool into our whisk, and when you're out on the field, you're gonna take your lighter, you're gonna light the steel wool, and once the fire starts just kind of creeping in a little bit, you're gonna start spinning it, and that's what's gonna increase the brightness, and all the embers are gonna start flying everywhere. And when you combine that with your camera with the right settings that we're gonna talk about afterwards, you're gonna get these extremely cool results. So now that we've built our steel wool device, we're gonna actually go out and take some photos now. So obviously, being that this is a long exposure, you're gonna need a tripod. So when you're on location, find the composition that you're really pumped on. There's a few different ways that you can capture this. You can use a self-timer to release the shutter. You can have a friend along with you. And the third one is you can use the self-timer that's actually built into most cameras. Now you're gonna wanna find your focus. If you're by yourself, throw a bag into the shot where you're gonna be spinning your steel wool, get that focus, and then press the self-timer. Give yourself about 10 seconds to run into the frame, remove the bag, and then start spinning your steel wool. When you're done, head back to the camera to see what results that you got. Quick tip, and something that I like to do a lot, is shoot in a really heavily concreted area. Somewhere in the city might be good, because then all the sparks fly around everywhere, and sometimes they'll actually build the outlines of certain structures that you're in. So let's say that you're in a bridge and you're spinning it, it'll actually outline the outside of the bridge. That looks really cool. I would also recommend shooting after it rains. Number one, it is safer, and number two, actually creates a lot of really cool light reflections and can actually increase the quality of your shot. So now let's talk about camera settings. Grab your camera, get a wide angle lens preferably. Obviously you want some context of where you're shooting, but use whatever lens that works for your creative tastes. Some of the settings that I like to use, obviously it's always different for each location that you're in, but typically you wanna set your ISO to somewhere around 50 or 100, your f-stop between 5.6 and 9. That's usually a good sweet spot, and your shutter is open between 10 to 15 seconds. Play around with these settings, you're gonna get different exposures and different looks, but this is generally the ones that I use to get the results that I'm happy with. So now comes the fun part, and the part that your mom's gonna freak out about is when you actually light the steel wool on fire and you start spinning it around and around for the 10 to 15 seconds. I could not say this enough, do not touch the steel wool after you've done spinning it and it's still glowing. It is so hot, this could hurt you, this could melt something, this could damage whatever you put it on. So make sure you put it on a surface that can withstand that heat and let it cool down before you go back to do your next shot. So Pete and I went out the other night to actually go out and try this. He was actually pretty blown away by some of the results that we were getting. One thing he mentioned, and one thing that a lot of people always make a comment about, it's not this crazy like fire spinning thing. It just looks like a bunch of little tiny embers flying everywhere. But when you combine that with your camera, that's when you're actually getting the really cool results. So let's take one of the photos that we took that day when I climbed on top of a tractor, and let's bring that into Lightroom. Now, as you can see, this looks pretty wild, but it's fairly dark. So one thing that I like to do is I just like to start by pressing the auto button over here. Let's see how that image looks. Not too bad. We can bring the exposure down just a touch. Now, as you can see in this section down here by the tractor, kind of looks kind of ugly. So we're gonna crop that stuff out. Boom, that looks a little bit better. All right, let's change the white balance a touch. I think this could look better if it was cooler. So let's bring it down in the blues a bit more. That's not looking too bad. All right, let's start playing with some of our different faders and sliders over here. Bring the shadows up just maybe a touch. Bring the blacks down. Now, one thing that I always like is to boost the clarity. So let's boost the clarity up here, around 25. That's looking pretty good. Now let's go down to our tone curve. I like to use the light section a lot in most of my photos, and it kind of works here too. So we'll boost the light up here, kind of bring the darks down just a touch. That's a little too dramatic. It's not looking too bad there. Again, this is just my workflow. It is a creative field, so do what works best for you. Here's some of the tips and tricks that I use just to get a photo that I think looks good. Moving along, we're gonna go to our adjustment brush. Shortcut key is K. We're gonna go down to lighten. I'm just gonna lighten this section here, bring a little bit more attention to this area. Now we're gonna go to our gradient. Shortcut key is M. We're gonna go to darken, just darken the ground there to bring a little bit more back to that. And we're gonna head down to our HSL area here, bring the luminance value up on our yellow-orange section. I think that's looking good. Maybe take the saturation down just a touch. I'm gonna bring the exposure up just a little bit more, and we're gonna bring our attention by going to the radial filter, and we're gonna darken around the outside. So I'll switch that to lighten. That looks pretty good. That's just a very basic edit, so spend a little bit more time to get the results that you're pumped on. Not that great. That one looks awesome. So that's a quick little tutorial on how to edit your steel wool photography photos. When I first discovered steel wool photography, I was kind of in a rut, and I would see all these photos on Instagram, and I was like, how are these guys doing it? So I went out and taught myself, and it kind of like reignited my passion for photography. Pun intended, right guys? So hopefully this does the same for you. I hope you learned something. So a big thank you for your time today. Fun little fact is I actually started posting to my YouTube channel again regularly, and I think that's it for now. I don't really have like an ending thing, so I guess over to Pete. What do I do now? Let's back to Pete and weather.
Sometimes breaking out of that comfort zone and exploring the unknown, especially with an art form like photography, can be just extremely exhilarating. And as Chris said, it's like a reinvigoration of the passion that you love so much. So sometimes if things are feeling a little bit like I'm a bit bored or I'm tired of portraits, going out and shooting star trails or steel wool photography and just mixing it up and stepping into a zone that you are completely unfamiliar with, that is a great way to get the ball rolling again. So, long way of saying, I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely go try it out. Hit that like button if you like this video. Smash it if you so desire. I won't hold it against you. Subscribe if you aren't already. And these are coming soon. See you in the next video.